Good morning, directors. Welcome to Season 2 of Project Directing. This season, we've decided to make things a little more interesting. Starting in Episode 2, the lowest scoring director will be eliminated until only 3 remain going into the finale. And for the finale, we're performing in front of a live audience in the Carroll Churchill Theatre right here in the Department of Drama, Theatre and Dance at Royal Holloway, University of London. This season is all about coming for the theatre, but staying for the drama. As this is Season 2, for the first episode, we've really embraced the idea of the number 2. So you'll be excited to know that the first challenge is a 2-day challenge. And starting this season, each episode will contain 2 different challenges. A mini challenge at the beginning, and then your main directing challenge. For the first mini challenge, the winner will decide whom they work with in the main challenge, as you will be directing in teams of 2. On the tables to your right, you will see a pub quiz style picture round of famous theatre directors. You have 2 minutes to identify as many of the theatre directors as you can. The highest scoring director will choose whom they work with in the main challenge. Then the second highest scoring will choose their partner, and the final 2 directors will make up the last team. Ready, steady, go.
And the directors are off. This may be a mini challenge, but with more directors and more challenges, we're really testing the strengths and weaknesses of our contestants this season. Uh-oh, looks like Hannah's struggling. Come on, Hannah.
Your time is up. So the answers. In the top row is Yasmin Vardaman, Iva Van Hove, Katie Mitchell, and Pina Bausch. In the second row is Emma Rice, Julie Taymor, Lloyd Newson, and Rupert Gould. The third row is Joan Littlewood, Ariane Minushkin, Robert Icke, and Peter Brook. And the bottom row is Bertolt Brecht, Simon McBurney, Deborah Warner, and Max Stafford Clark. How did everyone do? Anyone get over 9? Anyone get 9? So that's the highest one. So congratulations, Alex. You're the winner. But before you choose, I'll first tell you what the main challenge is. In teams of 2, you will adapt a Euripidean Greek tragic fragment into a scene no longer than 3 minutes. For this challenge, you will be judged on the following criteria: adaptation, creativity, and overall direction. The 2 winners of this challenge will receive immunity and cannot be eliminated. Alex, who would you like to work with in this challenge?
Emily, please.
And Dan, who would you like to work with?
Ralph, please.
Hannah, that means you and Pepe will be working together as our 3rd team. In your directing packs here, you will find the fragments of the 3 Euripidean plays that made up a whole trilogy in 438 BCE. The first team will direct the first tragedy, the second team will direct the second, and the third team the final in the trilogy. For this challenge, we have already randomly allocated actors to you. Get to it.
Studying the fragments is incredibly important if these directors want to produce engaging pieces that are also true to the source material. But what's harder, getting the adaptation right or directing in pairs?
I was an actor last season, and actually the Greek fragments challenge was probably the one that I found the hardest as an actor. However, today, working with Alex Hick, one of the other directors, has been really, really good. I'm very happy with the extract we got as well. There are a lot of interesting themes that we've managed to pick out from that. And as well, the actors that I'm working with have really taken to the kind of directing ideas that we've had. Alex and I both like to work really collaboratively with our actors, and that's been, it's produced some really good stuff today because, you know, they've had ideas about the text that we didn't even pick up. So it's been a great process so far, and I'm quite confident about what we've managed to produce.
Maybe Emily's experiences as an actor last season can give her an upper hand for this challenge.
The last line about
Divination, is that what you said?
Do you know which number that's on?
We want to try and link these little fragments to various themes that we've picked out. So instead of like trying to do it chronologically, pick things that relate.
Full read 99, I think.
Page 99, so fragment 87.
That's the one.
And that line links to what, Hazel?
Well, there's a footnote saying divination. So it's I think it is the chorus who's saying the women who practice this skill, and that looks like the whole prophecy as they're seeing into the future.
So it's some sort of divine power. So there's a status thing there going on, where someone knows something and someone doesn't know something.
Yeah.
So the scene takes place and it mentions that it's got a necklace. We don't have a necklace, so we just used Emily's bangle that she just happens to have with her today, and we were talking about how the necklace is a constant presence throughout the scene. I like to get actors on the feet without sort of going, okay, now's the time we get on our feet, to try and make it quite a seamless transition. So I was like, okay, now we're going to move on to the next exercise, and then touch the bangle and goes, okay, and now we're going to move on to the next exercise, and try to explain and give an example of what the exercise was going to be through introducing it at the same time. Because I don't want to get into a thing with this process where I don't take any risks, so I feel like because it's competitive in some way that I will just go back and do something that I felt have worked before. So I'd rather fail but try something new than succeed in some way off something that I'm comfortable with, and I think I want to use this process to find those risks.
I was thinking, well, this is one idea that I had, but I'm not sure if it would work, but you had like two people and one representing sort of the like innocent idea of like the European, one of the sort of his idea of like a wicked European, and then he stands up, makes the decision, and then just go and then grabs the innocent one and like, but I'm not sure, because I almost think that by creating like a wicked version, it kind of legitimizes the idea of it, but I'm not sure.
I'm an English and drama student, second year. It's pretty much me. My biggest challenge while I'm directing is, I don't know, often trying to get my like thoughts across. I often feel like I have really, really good ideas in my head, but I get like them too jumbled, and so then I end up like doing wild gestures just like everywhere, and the actors just look confused. But I think we do normally, like, so often I work with a co-director, and they're normally like my translator, because I kind of go like, we could do this or this or this, and then the co-director goes like, yeah, he's saying we're doing this. Yeah.
I quite like the idea of like you doing some sort of repeated movement, and then like once you get it wrong, like if like once you go like off beat like once, then he like goes for you. Like it's almost like you're expected to do this like daily routine of like of the Greek woman, and as soon as you do something like slightly off beat, then like his his paranoid like ideas about like what you could be doing if you're off beat like then cause him to like take like really horrible action.
I think it's going to be impossible to encompass all the fragments, just because of the nature of the thing.
For sure.
So the thing that's sprung in my mind, sort of what was said earlier about sort of an ensemble work, also kind of movement, and also this feminist perspective, is the work of Ariane Manouchkin, who deals with these large ensembles and basically adapting classic texts.
I guess I've always fancied myself as a director. I've always enjoyed directing. I enjoy the process. I get a real big kick out of it, and I really enjoy it. I think it's the ability to be creatively free and create and present a piece of work responding to either a topical issue or something that you're really passionate about, and I think it is a great release. It's a wonderful feeling to do that.
Will Dan's style performances work well with the actors, and more importantly, with his directing partner?
Stray away from it being too literal, because of the nature of what we've got.
Yeah. I think it's still fairly far removed from the text, because we're not doing some sort of staging in a naturalistic sense. Like we've got kind of two people doing this kind of abstract movement, and And I mean, I think like a bottom would be quite far removed from a literal.
I think it's the scary bit is not knowing what's going to come, but it's at the same time it's really exciting. It's a challenge. It's going to be good fun. All of us are sort of as equally nervous as one another, so it would just be a case of throwing ourselves in and seeing what happens.
A Kenyan's missions, which was the home of Texas, and a battle ensued.
Hello, my name is Jose Manuel Reyes Canseco, but you can call me Pepe. I really wanted to expand my knowledge into all these other parts of the theater, acting, directing, producing, everything. I just want to know everything. I like modern drama. Classic drama is a bit too much for me, too boring. I'm sorry.
Okay, there are several ways we could approach this. So if we take like we've just done, we could do the main points of the story, and we could kind of take it as a narrative and do okay, what's the beginning, what's the middle, what's the end, how are we going to tell the story? We could do it from a real storytelling perspective. Or we could do it from okay, what is the understory, if that makes sense? Do you know what I mean? What is the story actually about? Yeah. And whether we want to take something from that and then adapt that into a 3-minute performance.
It's once I've got an idea to roll with and I know where I'm going and I can, get confident in it and everything starts happening, then I know what I'm doing. But in the very beginning, trying to just come up with an idea, I find really challenging.
There is another scene of him talking to the oracle, and I think the oracle is basically a stone, right? Or it's a room in a cave. I have no idea.
The oracle is depicted differently in different.
Yeah. I personally like having another person there to bounce off of. If I run out of ideas, it's nice to have someone else to feed back and forth with. If people think I'm the weakest, then I guess it's all subjective. If they don't like the way that I work, then they don't like the way that I work. But I'm kind of open to all of it at the moment.
What do you think of the two of you, exploring and analysing this object at the same time?
I think it can be faster. We can easily condense it.
Yeah, I think that could be quicker as well. Yeah, because it takes a little bit too much time. I really like that you interact with him. So maybe just interact with him more interaction. Yeah. Try to reach for it, and then you actually knock his hand out because you don't want him to touch it because you don't know what's that.
Yeah.
What can it do? But yeah, let's try it again.
Cool.
So I'm here to just check in and see how you guys are doing and what your approach to the challenge has been.
Well,
it's actually been quite challenging, but we've managed to go through all those, and we've come up with an idea of what we're going to do with the scene.
we didn't want to take the story as literal narrative, because within 3 minutes that seems
less than 3 minutes.
Within that seems a bit like we're not going to be able to do it justice. So we found that we had a bit of an interest in the character of the Oracle, because the Oracle is interesting in the way that there's lots of different ways that you can interpret an Oracle, and it has been interpreted over, however many thousand years. We had a little bit of discussion about, what the Oracle could be. We thought of the Oracle as maybe, we consider the Oracle to be something in a position of power. So we discussed that maybe if you have a sort of a human, then as soon as there's a human embodiment of an Oracle, the power is not the same level as maybe something supernatural. So we're playing with the idea of having a really basic inanimate object and giving it power using physicality, and so we've been playing around with having Luke and Harry kind of doing physical theatre stuff to see how you can give something that ordinarily has no power. Power. Yes.
I think that's interesting. I would say to keep in mind that some inanimate objects, including rocks, right, might read to audiences as things already. So even though it might seem as a sort of blank thing, someone might think that rock means like sturdy or stable or between a rock and a hard place, or the other connotations that people in an audience might bring to rock on top of how you're using it in the scene. How has it been for you guys?
Yeah, it's been hard because obviously not knowing the story, so it was really hard to grasp, first of all, what was going to happen, especially within our bit, and then obviously with the time restrictions, we decided to have not much dialogue, so then we took the path of physical theatre, which hopefully we aim to see it not as like a last resort kind of thing, but the most effective way that we could tell our section of the story.
Keep in mind the criteria, right? It sounds like you already have some great answers to what that criteria is, particularly how you're approaching adaptation. So then go for it, yeah? Cool. I'm excited to see what you guys present tomorrow. Cool. How's it going?
It's going really well so far, like better than I expected. We've concentrated on picking out different themes, in particular juxtaposing themes that we saw, because we noticed that in this particular extract there's a lot of contrast. So we've got father figure, mother figure, we've got husband and wife as well, we've got gods and men, we've got sin and purification, there's a line that mentions summer and winter, so we thought about the ideas of hot and cold and how those affect the body. And then the other thing is we have this central image of the necklace. We're currently using my bangle, and how the necklace kind of affects the characters around it. Because we're both believers that if you have a prop, it should do something. It should really mean something. It shouldn't just be kind of arbitrarily there.
So what I said to them is, because I saw they were sort of itching to get up, I said, rather than tell us what the film is, I want you to go through and physicalise it, so then when we go into the discussion, they've got something to show. And if we can we top end it? So we do discussion first, we get them on their feet. In the audience, get them to stand up. So then when it comes into the audience, they're already on their feet doing the performance. So then we can go straight into more performative things because everyone's already on their feet ready to go.
So tell us how the process has been for the three of you.
Really enjoyable so far. Yeah, it's nice that the directors are really getting involved and engaged with us and how we interpret the themes. They're not just like spitting things for us to do, we're actively engaging in what we want to bring to the stage and how their ideas and our ideas culminate into what this piece is going to be.
Yeah, I really feel like everything we're saying is actually going to be used in the piece, rather than just like they ask for our opinion but they already have what, you know, they know what they want to do. I actually feel like we're forming it as well, so, which is nice.
Great, cool. Well, I'm excited to see it tomorrow. So I'm just doing my little check-in moments now. So how is everything going?
Yeah, no, it's good. I think we've just been working with the text. I think the fragments were a little bit intimidating at first, but we've got some really good key ideas, I think, that we kind of have thought about, we kind of latched onto, thought about, and kind of talked about together, creating a piece kind of from the sort of discussions that we had about those.
We've stripped down sort of the main components of what's happening in each of the fragments to try and create some kind of storyline, because it's all fragmented, it's quite impossible to bring it all together, so we've kind of gone with themes and ideas and images that have then been created as a response to it, as opposed to staging it literally.
My one thing about stuff that is sort of directed spot on is a sort of awareness of what it looks like from a side as well. Because some of that really great stuff is sort of made for almost one person. So just an awareness of that.
Once we focused on like the characters and made them human and just created kind of human characters and human consequences, suddenly I think our ideas start to come to life a bit more.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see the finished product tomorrow. Keep in mind the criteria. It sounds like you already have some good justifications for adaptation and creativity, so just keep those in mind, right? You want immunity?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So see you tomorrow.
For sure.
See you later. Great. Welcome, directors, to your
first showcase of Season 2 of Project Directing. Today, your guest judges are Bryce Lease, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Drama, Theatre and Dance, and Professor Liz Schaefer, also in the Department of Drama, Theatre and Dance, and myself, Will Schuler, your mentor, judge, coach, etc. So your challenge for today was to create a scene inspired by a fragment from Euripides' Lost Trilogy from 438 BCE into a scene no longer than 3 minutes. Today you'll be judged on the criteria of creativity, adaptation, and overall direction. The 2 winners of this challenge will receive immunity and cannot be eliminated next week. The winner of Project Directing will receive patron tickets to the Scottish National Ballet at Sadler's Wells, and the top 3 scoring directors going into the finale will receive tickets to an octoroon at the Orange Tree Theatre. Alex and Emily, your scene is first. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? One at a time, not all at once.
So we have the first set of fragments from the trilogy, and we have approached it thematically. We've looked at each fragment, and we've chosen to focus on the object of the necklace, which is present throughout all of the fragments. And this is the object which is going to link them all, and that is the focus of our adaptation, the themes that come from the object and its relation to the characters. So because of this, the fragments we have chosen are not in a sort of chronological order, and we've only taken a few of those for our focus.
Some of the themes that really interested us, which came out of both the context at the start of the fragments and also the fragments of the text themselves, were themes which had a kind of contrast or juxtaposition to each other. So we had the themes of mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, and then we had the theme of seasons was in one of those fragments, summer and winter, and then of course, as is present through a lot of Greek tragedies, we also had the theme of the differences between gods and men, which we thought was another really interesting contrast, and also the themes between kind of divinity and like a primal base nature, and this is present through our actors. We chose to focus on how they would present themselves in terms of contrast and how they would embody these themes physically and in relation to each other.
Great, thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Mortals should not wear the trappings of the gods.
And I forbid you to blame me. And I forbid you to blame me. And I forbid you to blame me. And I forbid you to blame me.
And I forbid you to blame me. And I forbid you to blame me. And I forbid you to blame me.
Alas, greatness
And I forbid you
also
to blame me.
suffers great disaster.
And I forbid you to blame me.
Alas, greatness also
And I forbid you
suffers
to blame
great
me.
disaster. Alas, greatness also suffers great disaster.
My Father and my Saviour.
wife brings a husband both the greatest help and the greatest harm.
Sweetly, madly, under the earth.
Raf and Dan, would you like to tell us about the fragments from the Cretan women you looked at?
So again, like Alex and Emily, we found the tackling a narrative quite challenging in the fragments that we were given. So we approached the text very thematically, and we focused on the presentation of very much kind of the presentation of women in our piece, which was Cretan women. And we found it really interesting that Euripides presented Europe as a wicked woman, and we thought that we wanted to take that and look at that and see how that talked about maybe Greek society and the misogyny prevalent within its Greek society. And we wanted to create a piece that thematically tried to subvert the misogyny and think about more about the almost the patriarchal male paranoia and fear of women behind that misogyny.
Yeah, so we really wanted to sort of take a feminist angle for it and to show power and struggles as well, and really contemporise the text as well. It would be very difficult to stage a literal production of this fragment because we don't have the entire text. So we've taken influence from other directors to create a idea and a theme that runs through it and sort of conjoins the entire piece.
Great, thank you.
Hades will judge this.
Am I to kill your child as a favour to you?
The wise man should never ease the chains upon his wife, or relax them and let her take control. For there is nothing trustworthy about her. If he can get a virtuous wife, he gets good fortune from a bad possession. It is painful to have a shaming disaster befall one, but if it should, one must conceal it and cover it all and not proclaim it to all. Such things become a mockery for our enemies.
Pepe and Hannah, do you want to tell us about your fragments and the story of Telephus?
Hi. So for these performances that we're going to do, we're actually going to be focusing on the oracle, because the oracle in Greek tragedy plays a very important role, and so we wanted to base on that and also on objects.
Yeah, so we basically looked at the whole narrative and decided, much like the other groups, that we couldn't fit that all in 3 minutes and do it justice. So we decided to focus on the oracle, and within that we sort of began looking at the idea that non-human influences on stories, basically, and the ways that they can be embodied on stage, and ideas of giving non-human objects power and how they influence narratives. Yes, so that's what we're sort of looking at.
Great.
I hope you like it.
I hope so too. Thank you.
No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded. No one can heal you but the spear with which you were wounded.
Thank you, directors, for this new Greek trilogy. The judges will now deliberate. Alcimon?
I think this one had initially really great precision. There was a dynamic between the two that I was very interested in. And they did take the tension and they built it in this case, I thought, rather than dissipating it. There's this kind of triangulation between the three that was less clear.
Yeah.
And so the introduction of the third character for me took away from the dynamic that we'd created rather than adding to it.
Mm-hmm. So to me, there was this confusing aspect of who they were. I think 3 minutes is a short amount of time to be multi-rolling in a very ambiguous way.
The bracelet, and I must have got confused because I was expecting a necklace, but maybe I just got a bit confused. But the
they
jewelry,
did say necklace, yeah.
But I didn't understand what the bracelet represented. I've just seen too much student work involving repetition, and I if it goes past 3, I start going, no, please stop.
What if it goes past 6? Do you come back again?
No.
No.
I emigrate.
Great, so let's talk about Cretan women. Thoughts on this? My first thing was that I was getting flashbacks from season 1 already, and it looked Abbey, didn't it? Didn't it have a sort of Abbey aesthetic to it with the strings and the writing, and it felt a bit like it had a flavor of Abbey, like she was actually here.
I mean, what I was thinking, they said that this one, they thought it was a feminist intervention, right? For me, this was entirely his story. This was his struggle. They were sort of side players in kind of psychological, emotional, physical journey he was going through. He even gave them the tool to work with. So whether or not they used the tool wasn't as important as his agency in delivering the tool to them.
Are you sort of questioning a patriarchal society, or are you presenting it? Because it seemed to me more of the latter.
Well, I really enjoyed the physicality, and that's always what you can't access with anything Greek. And I saw it slightly differently. See, I saw the string as weaving and women's business, and so for me, the scissors, yes, it was the tool, but also it's snapping the thread of the fate's thread, the thread of his life, perhaps. And so maybe I saw it a bit more positively. I did feel that the two women were coming together. I thought it was quite narrative-based, as you say, it was his story. But I suppose there was some hope in the ending where the story might be going might be a bit more interesting. And I really enjoyed, but I really enjoyed the tormenting of him, which somehow seemed terribly Greek. You know, all those appalling punishments that seemed to me to be a very Greek-looking punishment, whatever it was that was happening to him. And perhaps he deserved a bit more of it at the end.
The music actually worked well with that at the beginning. It was well choreographed with the sound. That became a little bit too literal as a drum towards the end, but I liked it initially, maybe a little bit more. I also wonder, there seemed to be this sort of moment in the middle where he steps away and then he returns, and I didn't understand dramaturgically what that return meant.
And I suppose also the fact that the word prophesy was written on the arm might encourage you to think forward and prophesy yourself what was going to happen next.
I agree that that opening moment was otherworldly in a really interesting way that drew you in, and you were interested in where that was going. And there was a break when he finally could breathe and move, and it was well established for you to get that break. So Telephus, we're looking at an aspect of an oracle and what that can do, and they just played around that in a way that I thought was really interesting and new, and I believed that this was some otherworldly message, and I believed it affecting the people. I thought that the rock was useful, so I don't know, the weed and the stick, maybe less. But I liked the rock. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that their physicality was engaging, that the repetitions were thoughtful but not overdone. I liked it.
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't like repetition. So I was not so happy about the repetitions. Also, I liked the rock too, but I didn't like the dandelion, and I didn't like the stick, and I kept going, what's the dandelion doing?
Yeah, those were sort of extra.
The stick, the rock would have been good just on its own, I think. So I found the dandelion and the stick a bit distracting.
Yes.
I kept expecting some significance.
Too many.
Never appeared.
Too many props. They gilded the dandelion.
Gilded the dandelion. I felt like they could have taken fewer ideas and drawn them out more carefully. So I knew at one point sort of Harry was having to physically move his own body, which I thought was interesting. But then that was lost as soon as the stick was collected. So I thought, oh, this potential is there, and then it drifts away. And similarly, the tension right at the beginning when they were fighting over the rock, I thought this could have been drawn out. You know, if you have a moment of tension as a director, build it. Don't immediately dissipate it. I think too many things were dissipated too quickly.
That's good feedback. I would say that I would want to see more of this play. I would be interested in what the rest of this story was and where else this went from here. I was sort of like, what happens next? Welcome back, directors. We've had a chance to deliberate, and I'd like to share that we were overall pretty impressed with the quality of the work that was shown, and we didn't think that there was anyone who was lagging far behind. There was no tail in this. It was all pretty strong, and it was a conversation to decide which two directors will be getting immunity for next week. Great, and so after some bartering was involved, we've decided on the two joint winners. And as a reminder, the two winners of this challenge will have immunity going into the next challenge, which means they cannot be eliminated. And for the other four, that means for one of you, it's curtains. That's my theater pun on eliminating. It's curtains.
So we can't eliminate them now.
Not now. I might get eliminated for that pun, but and so congratulations to Cretan women. Dan and Raf, you both have immunity in the next challenge and cannot be eliminated. So take that as an opportunity to be quite free and take some risks, and hopefully they pay off and you get it again. Yeah? For the rest of you, there's a little bit of added tension, some drama. Season 2, come for the theater, stay for the drama. Until next week, thank you guys.